And welcome to South Texas Crossfire, the radio edition. This is Attorney Joe Flores. I have a good man on here that called our program, and his name is, can I use your name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ian, hi. And you moved to Texas when?
It was about 4 years ago. My mom's a travel nurse, and we moved down here for a contract.
All right, and you had a run-in with a supposed police block or some sort of roadblock after you went to go see Soul Survivor, the movie. Tell us a little bit about this supposed roadblock that they had up. Where was it?
It was off of Greenwood, right next to the Times Market and Dollar General. Not sure of the other cross street, but right off of Greenwood by Crosstown.
Yes, sir.
And we were leaving the movie theater. It was about probably 12:30 at night, and they had all the store lights were off, and then they had the stoplight shut down, and it was flashing red, which of course means stop, then go through. Well, me and my wife, we went through the stop. After we stopped, counted to three because I've been pulled over before, and they said I didn't stop for 3 seconds, and they did the whole search and seizure and tried to find me guilty of something. So I did the 3-second count. Drove through, and about 2 miles down the road, I got pulled over by an SUV officer, and next thing I know, there's 2 or 3 cop cars behind me, and they told me that I ran their roadblock.
Yes, sir.
And, I asked them, I said, what roadblock? Are you talking about the broken lights back there? Yeah, that was our roadblock. And I said, well, I'm assured that most roadblocks have officers in jackets or flares or cones to show that there's an actual roadblock. And they kind of informed me, this is how we do things here. And then I kind of asked them, why am I the only one pulled over? Out of all the other cars driving by, why am I pulled over? Well, as you said, Joe, the neighborhood I live in is more,
more Latino,
Mexicans.
Latino. Yeah, you were on Yale, near around that area, near Horn.
Yeah, and I think it was, reverse racial profiling is what me and my neighbors call it. And I think they thought maybe I was buying drugs or up to something. Well, they yanked me out of the car. They took my weapon off of me and immediately thought that I was guilty of having an illegal weapon, which I know in the state of Texas, in your car you can have it concealed without a license, and out of your car with a license you can have it concealed, which I do have both.
Okay. And
so they take my weapon, they slam me against the car, they put me in the back of their cop car, not in handcuffs though, which I was glad that they didn't actually detain me, but they did. And they searched my car, searched me, searched my wife. And as I'm in the back of the car, I can hear them over dispatch, talking about, can we take his gun? I really like the gun. Can we take it? One officer was mad that he thought I tried to run him over at the roadblock. And then they tried to pull the go see if he's been drinking. I could hear this all over dispatch. Go see if he's been drinking. We can get him on that. So then the officer comes up to me and says, "Sir, have you been drinking tonight?" And I told him, "Oh, no, you're not pulling this card on me. You're not doing this." I said, "I'll do whatever it takes, but I'm not drunk." I said, "What am I getting pulled over for?" And it eventually came down to they took my insurance. It was 2 days expired, but I had insurance. I just haven't received my new card from Illinois yet.
Right.
And they refused to run my insurance. Well, I had my cell phone on me. So I get on my cell phone to call my insurance myself. And I was going to call my mom to let her know, hey, I'm going to go to jail because down here you can't call long distance, and I don't know anyone really around here. And so as they see me on my cell phone calling my insurance, the one officer stepped to the back of the car, and he grabbed my arm and pulled it up behind my back, almost to the point where it was breaking. Then the female officer stepped around to the other side. She grabbed my head. She slammed my head down twice on the seat and then grabbed the phone and told me that I'm not allowed to have a phone in the car. After they kind of literally almost broke my arm and slammed my face down. So eventually what happened was they wrote me up for failure to display driver's license because I didn't have it on me. It was at home, which I got that taken care of, and failure to maintain financial responsibility. So the next day, immediately, I called the chief of police officer and asked for the chief of police Simpson. Well, he never got back to me, but Lieutenant Guerrera, something like that, he called me back, and he explained to me why the officers did what they did and that why they towed the car. And he said, they told me your insurance wasn't valid. Well, when I read him my policy numbers from the old card to the new card, he confirmed that his officers didn't comply with the law and that they did refuse to run my insurance and that he was very, very sorry. And he told me, I'm very sorry. There's nothing I can do. And I said, well, yeah, you're sorry, but I have to go pay $250 to get my car out of the impound. So not only did I pay $250 to get it out of the impound, they wouldn't allow me to take it out. So I had to get a written consent, notarized letter to allow my wife to take it out. Then I've had to go to court 3 times just to get those tickets dropped.
I mean, how do you, what is the sense, and you've seen and hearing images of Ferguson, seeing other places where they're pulling people out of their car, what's the sense, and you're a white young male, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now you as a white young male, this isn't even a racial issue. What's your sense of law enforcement and your trust of law enforcement in the United States now?
Well, as growing up, I was always told, officers are here to help protect and serve the peace. And if you look into what they're supposed to do, they're supposed to help protect and serve the people and their property. I look at officers these days almost as Nazi Gestapo. And
Right.
That's honestly what me and my wife called them. That stop that we were at, that was a Gestapo Nazi stop. And they're looking, and to me, it doesn't make any sense to me financially to constantly go after people for petty crime. They were searching for drugs when they could have been, looking for a rapist or a murderer or someone that's drinking and driving, who's running people off the road. They're more focused on real simple drug charges that bring in big money on fines, court fees, probation fees, and then probation itself is almost a program to set up for failure because you have to pay so many fees plus go to work, plus community service, and somehow work all that around a schedule in a short amount of time. So I look at officers these days. I know there's good ones out there, don't get me wrong. There are those good officers out there, but for them to not speak up against the crooked ones who are constantly going out, harassing people. I've been pulled over in Corpus 4 or 5 times in the past year and searched and kind of, you didn't stop for 3 seconds, you didn't do this. It seems to me they're always trying to find something guilty. They're not looking for actual crimes going on. They're trying to make a crime. They're trying to find a way to make you do a crime or make you seem like you're doing a crime to search you. Then once they can search you, if you do have something on you, we got him for this. So he was a guilty, he was a bad guy. We got a criminal. Well, why were you searching me in the first place? And that's just how I feel.
I'll share with you and the audience out there, my wife, I had lent her my car. I kept my insurance card in my wallet. And I got a disturbing call during a deposition. My wife was very tearful. She was with my daughter, afraid. And the officer, before she told him my husband's a lawyer, he said, well, I'm going to arrest you, and we're going to call Child Protective and put your child, somebody's going to have to come get you from Protective Services. She's a, church-going lady. She, and when they mentioned handcuffs for lack of insurance, and it was all my fault that I didn't leave the insurance card in the car, I did a slow burn. But with all that being said, I have had great encounters with Corpus Christi Police Department, those that if I hear a prowler or something, they're in the neighborhoods. They're there. They're risking their lives. But the 1 or 2 bad apples, the 5%, ruin it, and then society thinks the guy who blows somebody away 6 bullets. I mean, let's switch gears a little bit. The Ferguson issue. You've kept up with that. How do you think that plays to the crowd when you're bringing in the National Guard? The policeman did shoot, quite a few times.
Well, now they're saying he got shot 7 times. Is the new report on that?
I heard that there are some reports saying that it was more than 6. Right. So, I mean, and we don't know, I hate to date my shows. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But the bottom line is, let's talk about lethal force a little bit. I want everybody out there who has a voice like yourself, the common man that ordinarily won't have the mic, to tell me, what do you think about policemen using lethal force? I mean, they do risk their lives every day out there.
Of course.
But, I mean, as far as lethal force in that situation.
I think as technology has come today, they have a taser. And yet tasers aren't 100% non-lethal either. People do die that have heart problems or issues, with their body, or sometimes the officer just holds it too long and kills them. But they do have pepper spray. If somebody's wielding a knife, you can shoot them with a taser or pepper spray them. I mean, for me, if somebody was coming at me with a knife, I'm going to laugh if I have a gun and taser and pepper spray. I'm just going to spray them in the eye or shoot them with the taser. I'm not going to go for the gun, but I think some of the officers, I honestly think almost all of them are undertrained, and the training that they are getting is just to pull out their gun and shoot. I don't know, because it's constantly all over the news every day. Officers shot so and so, or they're shooting dogs. There are different means, that they can use besides lethal force. But it always seems they go for the gun first. Is how the training is. Okay, go for the gun. We got a criminal. Go for the gun.
And unfortunately, that's just not in Ferguson. That's happened here in Texas.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
What's the solution then? I mean, in your mind, as a citizen, a taxpayer, somebody who's had a bad experience like this, who knows how to assert their rights, other people don't. What's the answer to curbing that? I don't like it either. Feeling in America that every time I get pulled over, even as a lawyer, at checkpoints, you're at their mercy. You feel that you're not in America anymore. What is the solution? I mean, we've said what the problem is. What, in your opinion, is the solution?
Honestly, the solution is, it's very hard to think of one solution, because there has to be many different solutions to fix many different outcomes that have been going on. Because there's a lot of problems with the police force. To me, the Nazism of it is we're taking over. We run the show. We stop you when we tell you to stop. You come up to our roadblock, we automatically get to search your car. I honestly, as a citizen, I think the Constitution has been just ripped apart. There is no rights anymore, is how I feel. Solution-wise, it's very hard. We have to get our officials, our government officials, to get on the ball and realize, hey, we have citizens. We want to be a great nation. We need to fix this. We need to give our officers better training to decide whether or not to use lethal force. Maybe we should supply them. We know technology has come so far. We can come up with weapons that are non-lethal but are more effective than a taser. They have them. I mean, I guarantee that we can find some way to equip an officer, yes, with a lethal gun, because there are the guys out there with AK-47s and fully automatic MAC-10s or Tech-9s. There are bad guys. Unlike myself, I can't get a fully auto weapon unless I pay for a Class 3 license. The criminals don't do that. They don't care, And so for them, I understand that they're scared coming up on the cars, but you can't think that everyone's a criminal, but you do have to have that in your mind, like, okay, this guy might have a gun, but there should be a better means of, okay, well, this guy just stopped him, his license plate came back clean, he has no record, let me go talk to him, not just instantly think that you're going to have to pull out a gun and shoot. Maybe there has to be some other sort of weapon other than a gun and a taser, because obviously they're not caring about using a taser unless they're unarmed, and even if they're unarmed, they're still shooting people with a gun, and it just doesn't make sense.
There's ongoing issues that you've brought up off the record too, and I won't press you on those. But as far as some of the officers that you've encountered, what would you like to tell the public about them?
Well, I don't know their names, and I wouldn't bash them over air anyway. But
right.
For the officers I encountered, there's really nothing I can say. They deserve their badges revoked. They deserve,
right.
They deserve to be prosecuted just like any other citizen. This is my saying. They're officers of the law, not officers above the law. And that's a big misconception these days, because they have to follow the law. To me, they're making up their own laws these days. Oh, well, I'm an officer. I'm above the law is how they act. I've actually called before, because here off Greenwood, I've seen officers drag racing, and I've had to call in at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, to dispatch, tell your officers to back off. Here I am pulling out, getting water from a water station at 2 in the morning, and here's 2 cop cars with their lights off doing 120 down Greenwood. And this has happened multiple times. And they kind of just laugh it off and, I'll contact those officers. I'm like, no, because if that was me, I'd be going to jail. So I think the officers that did what they did to me, they know who they are. They got the one complaint from the lieutenant, from me calling chief of police for their illegal roadblock. They deserve their badges taken, or at least reimbursing me the money that I've had to spend in the heartache of paying fines and tow fees, and just because they wanted to get a little kick out of the night because they couldn't find drugs on me, they had to get some sort of trespassing or something to get them better with their day, or however you want to put it.
Right. Well, and listeners out there, if there are people that have had bad experiences with the police here locally, we know that there's national issues going on. We'd like for you to contact the station, 289-7788 or 289-8877. Ask for South Texas Crossfire, leave a message, we'll get you back, or you can email us at, visit us our website at Flores Law Firm, or like us on Facebook. Hi, this is attorney Joe Flores. As many of you know, I practice criminal law in state and federal court. Today, we're going to take a brief moment to let people know about their rights. I think that it is very important, especially in this day and age, for people to know about their rights. Many people say, well, I'll never be arrested, or this can't happen to me, but you never know. And so we're going to take a brief moment to go over your rights right now. And many people wonder, when are you officially under arrest? You can be under arrest when an officer detains you and restricts your freedom. You can be under arrest and they haven't told you you've been under arrest yet. In fact, any way that an arresting officer deprives you of your freedom can also constitute an arrest. You need to be aware of that. Under Miranda versus the state of Arizona, and this is a Supreme Court case that has been held strong for many, many years now, and you've heard it on TV over and over again. What rights do you have when you're arrested? You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, as they say on TV, and a policeman must read you your Miranda rights. Does he have to read them right then and there when he puts on the handcuffs? No. They can read you your rights or tell you your rights in the squad car, on the way over to the police station, at the police station, before questioning. So anytime during that period of time, you can be apprised of your rights, and your constitutional rights won't be waived or violated in any way. And also, you can stop questioning by a police officer at any time and invoke your right to a lawyer. Now, the important thing to remember is once you've invoked your right, you have to continue invoking your right. Sometimes, and realistically, you're sitting in a jail cell, you may wait hours for a lawyer and he may not come. Now the police, it's fair game for them to come back and say, are you okay? Are you sure you don't want a Coke, a snack, something? And then say, are you sure you don't want to talk to us? Once a lawyer gets involved, it gets very complicated. Police can do that, and they can initiate conversation again. You have to underline and invoke your right to an attorney to be on the safe side. And you have a right to an attorney, even if you can't afford one. And you don't have to answer questions outside the presence of your attorney. We recommend that strongly. If at any time an officer says, oh, you don't need a lawyer, we're just talking here, alarm bells, okay? Because if anything that touches or concerns a criminal matter or your freedom, it is very advisable for you to get an attorney. What rights do you have after you're arrested? You have the right to talk to your attorney over the phone or in person. You have the right to call your family. You have the right to contact a bondsman. But the police do have the right and the authority to do simple booking procedures before you get to exercise those rights. Can an arresting officer or an investigating officer detain you? Yes, he can. The short answer is that he can detain you, ask questions, and if he has reasonable suspicion, detain you a little bit more. And if he thinks you're carrying weapons or you have drugs or a danger to yourself or others, he can do a pat-down search. Now, subject to that pat-down search, if he finds anything, he can be subject to arrest. You don't have to tell them any information. You don't have to give them your identity. But if you don't, failure to ID can be a crime in Texas. Can a police officer arrest you with or without a warrant? The answer is yes, with a warrant. At any time, a policeman can show you the warrant and arrest you, and you have to get a copy of the warrant or at least see one. With a warrant that is issued, by a judge, and you may or may not know there's a warrant for you if you have what's called an indictment from a grand jury. You may not know that you've been indicted. And then they come up to you and say, are you so-and-so? And they say, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest, we've got a warrant for your arrest. Now, when can they arrest you without a warrant? Well, it's obvious if a policeman has reasonable suspicion that you've committed a felony, or upon reasonable information, which is a legal term, but if somebody says that man just robbed a bank, well, he doesn't need to go out and run and get a warrant to arrest you at that time. How much force can a police officer use when arresting someone? The law says that within reason, a police officer can use as much force as they need to in order to make an arrest. This means that if at all possible, do not resist arrest, cooperate. Many officers, as you've seen on video and other instances, have had to use restraint, pepper spray, have had to use their weapons at hand, and you have to be very careful when dealing with officers and always try to show as much respect as possible, even if the situation is highly charged. If you are resisting, you can also face separate charges or even charges of assaulting a police officer, which can be very serious. When can the police search your home or office? If they are arresting you, or they come to arrest you, they can look around and they can do what's called a sweep and clear sort of search, where they're seeing if there's any weapons, any accomplices, anybody hiding, or if there's what's called the plain view doctrine. If there is drugs, contraband, or something that is tied in with the arrest, or they have a reasonable suspicion that that has to be involved with the crime and they see it in plain view, they can search it. When you are in your car, the police may do a limited search of your car, but they can't search the trunk without separate probable cause. Without a justified reason, they can't search your trunk. You can refuse for them to do it, but that's where the law gets tricky. Where you have, say, a canine that's alerted to your car, that's a separate reason. If they suspect that there are drugs, contraband, or a large amount of cash, which many of the police dogs who serve our community well are alerted to, they can and will search your car if there is separate probable cause. What procedures are followed after you're arrested? Generally, you are handcuffed, you're escorted in a police car, and you're taken to the nearest jail facility. There at the jail facility, basic information will be taken of you. An inventory of possessions that you have, and a list of those shall be put in an envelope or other container, and then you'll be fingerprinted, you'll be photographed, and also you may be asked questions. At that time, again, you must invoke your right to an attorney if you wish to do so. The whole process can be very intimidating, and it's easier said than done. I've had many clients come and people ask them, well, why did you talk to the police? Well, when your heart's racing 160 miles an hour and you're being handcuffed and put in a car, it's a very different situation than being at your home watching Law and Order and saying, don't forget to call your lawyer. So remember, keep this in mind. If they are trying to instigate any sort of questioning, if they're trying to initiate any sort of questions, you need to invoke your right to counsel. You may also be asked to be in what's called a photo array or photo lineup. You may also be asked to provide blood specimens or DNA, and you may also be asked to say a word or a phrase, and they may try to identify you. Generally speaking, you must be told what you're being arrested for, and reasonably quickly, which is 6 to 12 hours, maybe a day or two, you're taken before a magistrate, generally speaking. Some people have been retained longer, but those are rare instances. Generally here in America, you're taken before a magistrate very quickly, within 24 hours, and told the charges against you. Thanks for staying tuned with Joe Flores. I'm a trial lawyer.
trying to explain some of the basic procedures and your very important constitutional and fundamental rights in this country. Don't forget, you've got the right to counsel. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to know what you're being charged with. And remember, if you're encountered by police officers, cooperate to the best of your ability. Do not resist. This may cause additional charges. When you are put in jail, remember that they may take your fingerprints, they may take a picture of you, they may make you put yourself in a lineup or say things or give a DNA sample or blood. And don't forget, be careful about the possessions that you have, and a careful inventory should be taken. Make sure you get back what you had, especially money and other sentimental things. If they take those things from you, they should give them back. Don't forget, you have the right to contact an attorney within a reasonable time, but they may ask you to go ahead and get fingerprinted and your photograph taken before all that is done. So make sure that you cooperate, you're polite, but firmly assert your right to an attorney if you're being questioned or Mirandized. And don't forget, it's your right to remain silent. I cannot stress that enough. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you of your rights if you are arrested. And if you need any further information, don't forget, you can call our office at any time. 361-887-8670. That's 361-887-8670. Or visit our website, floreslawfirm.com, or visit us on Facebook. That's Facebook.com/floreslawfirm.com. This has been Joe Flores. Thank you, and God bless.